You've been charged, and now every conversation feels like a dead end. One person tells you it's no big deal. Another says you're going to jail, and you're stuck trying to figure out who's actually right. I'm Danny Izquierdo, criminal defense attorney in Florida, and I help clients understand exactly what they're up against. No sugarcoating, no scare tactics. In this video, I'll walk you through the best case and worst case outcomes of your charge, so you know what's possible, what's realistic, and what you can do right now to take control. Because the sooner you stop guessing, the sooner you can build a real defense and avoid the kind of outcome that changes your life for the worse when you're facing criminal charge. See, you're probably wondering the same two things everyone asks. How bad can this get? And what does a clean outcome actually look like? Because there's a world of difference between walking away with a dismissal and walking away with a conviction that follows you for years. So in this video, I'm going to break down the two ends of that spectrum, the best case scenario for your charge in Florida and the worst case scenario. And then I'll show you what actually makes the difference between the two. Before we talk best case and worst case, here's the truth. There is no one size fits all answer. Outcomes depend on things like the type of charge, misdemeanor or felony, the evidence and how it was collected, your prior record, the county, the judge, and local policies, whether police followed the rules, and what you do after the arrest. But even with all those moving parts, most Florida cases fall into common patterns. So let's start with the outcome everyone wants. This is the absolute best case scenario in Florida. Simple. Your charge gets dropped or dismissed and you walk away without a conviction. That can happen a few different ways. Best case, path one, the prosecutor drops the case. Sometimes the prosecutor reviews the file and realizes they can't prove the case. Maybe the witnesses won't cooperate. Maybe the story is inconsistent. Maybe the police report has holes. Maybe the video doesn't match the allegations. And if the state can't prove it, they can choose to drop it. That's one of the cleanest endings you can get. And it's more common than people think when a defense lawyer gets involved early and forces the state to confront weaknesses. Best case scenario, second path, is pretrial diversion. Diversion is basically a second chance for qualifying cases. Often for first-time offenders or certain lower-level charges, you complete requirements like community service, classes, counseling, restitution, or treatment. And if you successfully finish, the case gets dismissed. No conviction. For the right person, that's a life-changing outcome. Motion to suppress. Another best case scenario is when the state's key evidence gets knocked out. If police searched illegally, stopped you without lawful grounds, or violated constitutional rules, your lawyer can file a motion to suppress. If the judge agrees, that evidence can't be used. Once the state loses the evidence they needed to prove the case, dismissal often becomes the only realistic option. Not guilty at trial. Sometimes you have to fight this all the way to the end. And yes, people do win trials. If the state can't prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, a jury can return a not guilty verdict. It's not the most common outcome, but it's real, and it's always on the table when the state can't meet its burden. In the best case, you walk away with no conviction, no jail time, no probation. And depending on the case outcome, you may have options later to seal or expunge. But here's the part people miss. Best case usually requires fast action and a real strategy. Now let's talk about the other end of the spectrum. Worst case in Florida means you're convicted and you get hit with the most serious penalties the law allows for your situation. Here's what that can look like. Worst case outcome number one, jail or prison. For misdemeanors, jail time can be on the table. For felonies, you're potentially looking at prison time, and some offenses carry mandatory minimums. And if you have prior convictions, sentencing exposure can rise quickly. Worst case scenario number two, a permanent record. That means a conviction follows you, jobs, housing, school, professional licenses. And in Florida, many convictions cannot be sealed or expunged. Even so-called small convictions can create big barriers. Worst case outcome number three, probation, fines, and violations, even when jail doesn't happen. Probation can be brutal. Drug testing, classes, curfews, travel restrictions, supervision fees, community service, on and on. And if you violate probation, you can end up serving jail time you thought you had just avoided. Worst case outcome number 4, collateral consequences. This is where life gets quietly harder. Immigration consequences for non-citizens, custody issues for parents, loss of certain rights, school discipline and scholarship problems, and for certain offenses, long-term registration requirements. Worst case isn't just the sentence. Worst case is what the conviction does to your life after court ends. So what actually decides where you land? Here are the factors that consistently separate best case from worst case in Florida. Number 1, speed. The earlier you act, the more options you keep. Evidence disappears, footage gets overwritten, witnesses move, deadlines hit. Waiting doesn't help you look cooperative. Waiting just takes leverage away. Number 2, the defense strategy. Good defense work isn't just showing up to court. It's challenging the stop, challenging the search, challenging the statements, challenging the evidence. It's finding the weak points and forcing the state to prove every inch of the case. Number 3, what you do after the arrest. Prosecutors and judges notice patterns. Did you stay out of trouble? Did you follow conditions? Did you take proactive steps like treatment or counseling when appropriate? Did you handle the case seriously? Your actions can either build credibility or destroy it. Number 4, charge type and prior record. First-time offenders usually have more pathways. Repeat or violent allegations, narrower options. But even then, strategy matters, and cases can still be fought the right way. If you're facing a criminal charge in Florida, here's the big takeaway. Best case can mean dismissal and a real fresh start. Worst case can mean a conviction that follows you for years. And the fastest way to drift toward worst case is talking too much, waiting too long, or trying to handle it alone. If you want to protect yourself before you ever step foot in court, you need to understand how the system gets people to hurt their own cases early. So watch the next video. How cops trick you out of your right to remain silent. Because one friendly conversation can do more damage than people realize. See you over there.